And Tate Mothiba, thank you very much for welcoming us into your home. And thank you for agreeing to be interviewed by us in aid of Tate Swone's biography, which we are working on. We hope to complete it very soon. Thank you very much for volunteering to be of assistance to us. Now, maybe let's start here. Let's start by you giving us background concerning how you got to meet Tate Swone, how you got to be recruited into Tembisa High School by Tate Swone.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate the fact that you are running with this project to have the history and life of one of the most important people in my life. I joined Tate Swone, who was the principal of Tembisa High School, in 1975. But the very interesting thing is that as I was completing my Bachelor of Education degree, after I had completed my BA, Bachelor of Arts, and University Education Diploma, I vividly can remember that when you wrote the last paper of this particular degree, B.Ed, on the 20th of February 1975, our late professor, Professor Lekela, invited me and a fellow student of mine, Helen Noche by then, who is now married. And he said to us, Lesima, that's my family name, Helen, on the 24th of February of that particular month, 1975, and here, you report to Tembisa High School. And we inquired why. He said, you've got a job. And that's the beginning of my journey as a teacher and a principal and educator. And we reported on that particular day. And as you know, the whole system, complete the forms and everything and all that, and we're employed. There are certain things I'll have to add. I think I was at the age of 25 or so. I can't remember exactly. But be that as it may, he immediately roped me into the position of assistant sportsmaster. And raw as I was, he gave me senior classes to teach history in the then Form 4 and English in the then Form 3. And he thrust me into teaching a subject that I was not comfortable with, biology. But I took it. And when I went to his office, I complained. I said, hey, Tate Swone, you are throwing me to the wolves. He said, no, you learn with the students. That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay.
Should I go on?
Yes, you can go on.
Yeah. Mr. Swone was one of the most focused principal teacher that up to today I am still proud of having worked with him. He had this conviction of looking for the best teachers available that he could get. And the running of the school was one of the best. under him. Tembisa High School by then was the only high school in Tembisa. But through his leadership and involvement with the communities of Tembisa, it gave birth to another school, secondary school, Buitumelong Secondary School in Tembisa. After that, he negotiated with the community to get another secondary school because the community of Tembisa was growing. Then came Giana Secondary School. One interesting thing that one can think of about Tembisa, there was this problem of those learners who could go only up to the then Form 3. What is that now? Grade 10.
Yes.
Because Tembisa was nearer to the industrial hub. We talk about Isando, Spartan, Elandsfontein, and the surroundings. They could immediately go and be employed, mostly in the pharmaceutical companies. So they couldn't progress to do matric and go to university. Very few then, before us, couldn't do that. But Mr. Sibone fought that much has to be done. Amongst others, he worked with the community closely, the business leaders, and pressurizing the then Department of Bantu Education. Lazarus Ntlapo Technical School was opened, and because solely of Mr. Sibone. But to him, it was not easy sailing with some of the members of the communities who felt that he was moving too fast, too far. But he stood his ground. And many learners today are his products. And some of those who worked with him, we learned a lot. And personally, I'm very proud of him. Then came 1976. The students' uprising because of what the then Bantu Education Department said. Afrikaans must be a medium of instructions, even in very important, subject like mathematics and the rest. And you can just think, imagine what was going to happen. 76, I was there. He was still there. A lot of things happened. That is history now. 1977, it happened again. And I remember, I think it was around about March 1977, he addressed us and told us that he was now leaving. And one other thing he said, if you also have your own opinion, you take your personal decisions, you can resign and whatever. But he left. Now, we had that void, that space that needed somebody to fill the space, and the boots were too big. The then deputy principal, Mrs. Matlango, was appointed to act as a principal of Tembisa High School. She acted, I think, up to December. Yeah. I was a rookie, very young, looking at other avenues. Amongst others, I had this idea of leaving the country. But in January 1978, the school committee, the chairperson was the late Reverend Moloi. But just before the schools were going to open, they came to my house in Tembisa, 357 City Bay, in the morning, on a Sunday. I think there were 4 or 5 of them. They put a letter in front of me and say, Ralph, because those were the elders, you know. Use my first name, no problem. They say, we have decided to recommend you to become the principal of Tembisa High School when the schools open. And I said, allow me to give it a thought, then I'll come back to you. They said, no, you sign here. We have confidence in you. We'll give you the necessary support. And that's where it started. 1978, I took over the principal of the school. Some scanty knowledge of how to, management and teaching are not the same. You can be a good teacher, but you may not be a good manager. But on the staff, I had senior teachers in terms of age and all that who have been there for years. And I was very lucky. And I thank my gods and God. They gave me unqualified support. The school was big. I remember one interesting incident. I didn't know the requirements to employ a teacher if there was a need. Then Tembisa High School next to Rabasoti Police, there's a section called Tsama section. Tsama is, I think I would say, 99% vendor speaking. And there were vendor learners at Tembisa High School. There was no vendor teacher. I communicated with the principal of the primary school that I was looking for a vendor teacher. And a teacher in the name of surname of Magosha came to Tembisa High School. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, this man is not paid. And I inquired with the department, what's going on? They said, no, there's no substantive post for that man. The school committee paid him until I facilitated that we get a post for that. My communication with Ndadesibone didn't stop there. He played a very important role. He advised me what to do. And I had learned a lot. When I had a problem, I would always consult him. And over and above that, many of us, the former students and those who worked with him, felt that he built us up. I definitely don't regret. From 1978, as a principal, up to 1997, 19 years, I think, of being a principal of the school and getting support remotely from him. So up to today, we still communicate. Many students who were there when he was a principal, before I became a principal, I think on 3 occasions they've always honored him by arranging a birthday party lunch for him at his place. Up to today, they're still continuing. One other important thing, when I came back from a study tour, education study tour in administration in the United States of America for some couple of months, I think it was 6 months. Yeah. I gave me a report and I said to him, there is a company in Fontaine that is a 3M, which is committed to sponsor Tembisa High School. What should I do? He gave me the necessary information and all that. And in as much as then local Department of Education was against it because that was the period of divestment and disinvestment. But 3M stood its ground, and Tembisa High School was the first in Tembisa, and I believe in the Gauteng province now, to be sponsored. You know. And I gave him a report. He says, Ralph, don't fear, go ahead. That's not a criminal, in fact. It's an investment into the future of those learners that are at Tembisa High School. Yeah.
At the time he was there, was there any sponsorship from any of this?
No, not yet. To my knowledge,
Yes.
3M pioneered that.
Okay.
In Tembisa particular, there was none. They came after a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
Those who came, there was none, definitely. I wouldn't know about the rest of Joburg, but I think the second school that got that might have been Maurice Isaacson after some time. Yeah, I'm speaking under correction here. Now, I don't know whether that is enough.
Yeah, let's just talk about the buildings. Because I think that is when you said when he started there were eight classrooms only. But I know that under you, that school grew to very much.
Yeah. What happened? Very interesting. Thank you, Elijah.
Yeah, maybe talk about this issue a bit.
You know, we talk with confidence now because what we faced, you might have faced it then with that particular department, the Bantu Education Department. The school was growing, and there was this kind of not movement, but this tendency that the Bantu Education Department, because of the growth of student population in many townships, they were adding, after the riots, more classrooms, some of them with those big, strong, I don't know what, concrete walls and all that. They came to Tembisa and they said, now, we're adding classrooms, but over and above that, this school will start teaching mechanical engineering, you name them, those in the technical section. Now remember, none of us, from me down to, all my teachers, we didn't have those qualifications, the skill. The strategy, and I talk here with confidence, was that now, if those subjects are introduced in these schools, you, Ralph Mothiba, you don't have the know-how and the skill to run, a school of that nature. So we'll bring a white principal, the teachers who've got that, they will be white and all that. So you will see how to place you somewhere. I can't forget when a meeting was called at Rabasoto Hall of the community of Tembisa and the parents of the school and the management, that is the school committee. And this issue was broached in that hall. It was in the evening. And the parents stood up and said, tell us what is it that we're going to do, how much you're going to spend. Then they spoke about 4 million, blah, 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 we'll do that. And then this will happen. I said, now, where do we get the teachers? I said, no, we'll get the teachers who are qualified to come and teach those subjects. And the principal will bring him because Mr. Mothiba doesn't have those qualifications in the technical section. We know he's a good history teacher and English teacher, but we'll make a plan. One parent stood up and he boldly told the then director of the Highveld region to say, Mr. So-and-so, I don't want to mention his name, but I can. If you are saying you're going to enlarge the school and bring the subject that, of course, are good for all of us. We are nearer the industrial area here. And you say it's 4 million, but our present principal, Mr. Mothiba, won't be a principal. Please, you can take your 4 million and everything and go away. That's what happened. And already that money was commissioned, was budgeted, and the work started. We built it. In fact, other areas, they didn't have the subject that were introduced to us. But they couldn't bring the principal. The committee said no. Couldn't bring the teachers. So all those facilities remained like that, and we continued with what we had, you know.
Did you communicate with Ntate Sibone at that time? Because I think he was with the Council for Education and Training at that time.
Yeah. That was done, and the issue was, why do we have to remove some of the leadership and the teachers, and you say, bring this? And later, you know, you could discover, you go to David and you have the note there and what all those principals were white principals. No problem, they had the skills, there's no problem. To sort of sum up, we continued, you know, but one thing vividly comes to my mind, because one of the parents stood up and said, Mr. Mothiba, what subjects do you have at this school? And I explained, we have maths, we have physical science, biology, English, blah, blah, all of those things. Then home economics, accounting, and whatnot. So, no, but now how do you manage that these learners can pass as the principal of the school? Because you are not, you teach history and English. And I said, in every area we have departments with the people with those qualifications. Physical science, maths, blah, blah, you know, put maths and physical science together, then you have an HOD. And Tembisa High School was among the first to get 9 heads of departments. 8 in that school. And we survived. And to be honest with you, the first year, and this was because I was encouraged by Ntate Sibone. There was a time when I said to him, this is burdensome. One year, we had 400 matriculants who had to sit for the exams. And I said, you can't cope with this. It's too much. He said, no. Soldier on. Talk to your teachers, talk to the parents, get the necessary support. And I remember the first results before the exams came to me and we spoke. And when the results were released, I became a principal in 1978. 1979, the pass percentage was 96.7%. That was not talked about. Talked on those years. It was something like, you know. Unlike today when, you know, TV and what those things. But the long and short of it is that I'll still remain indebted to Ntate Walter Selailo Sibone.
Yes.
He's one amongst the best, or the best as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
A man that I worked with. He had empathy. He understood. Even to go to him with your problems and all that, he'll always advise you what to do. And you get out of the office, you are satisfied. That's what he is. He was, and I believe he still is today. As I said, that's why he's always honored by the former students. Last year, am I right, October, he was also honored by the former students. but those came after he had left. But they know his history. He was honored with Istolandwe at Birchwood Hotel. And I was invited to be the main speaker for the night, with dinner, former students and all that.
The people of Tembisa and perhaps the former students of Tembisa have honored Mr. Siboni.
Yeah.
They've remembered all these years.
Yeah.
He made that contribution that he made to Tembisa. Is there any other thing that you can remember? Was there anything perhaps from the community?
Not to my...
I know that there is an alumni association or something like that.
Tembisa High School, they have the alumni association. But I think there is still that lack of synergy in terms of those who came before me and those who came when I came there. Yes. But I believe they are trying to come together. But the alumni has been established. One of them I know is a foundation, but they are trying to bring each other together. Yes. in order to, carry on with some of the things that they have to do at the school in terms of, how they can contribute to the growth, educational and otherwise, of the school. Yeah.
And then the birthdays, is it every year?
I know that last year they did it. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure whether they do it every year. Yeah. But I know that last year they did it, and the other years, I think 3 times, yes. They have gone to his house, yes. Which I know in Pretoria, Yeah, I've been there several times.
Yes. Mm. And then this talent, that occasion was done by the...
Which one? The Birchwood one?
The Birchwood one.
Yeah, it's the group mixed with those that came after him. Right. And those who, were part and parcel of my stay at Tembisa High School, yes. And this is the group that honored me, yes. On the 16th of June 2019 with a lifetime principal of Tembisa High School. There is that thing there that comes from them, that trophy and the blazer. You'll see the blazer there. Yeah, so when they invite me, and when we were at Birchwood, they said, no, you wear that one, and then that Siboni is going to have his Twalandwe. No, you'll see it there. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, that's that. I don't know whether I left